World leaders have been honoring former U.S. President Jimmy Carter, who has died at the age of 100. His single term in office was marked by economic problems and the Iran hostage crisis. Decades of humanitarian work later earned Carter the Nobel Peace Prize. President Joe Biden has declared a day of mourning on January 9th when a state funeral will be held.
Flags at half-staff over the U.S. Capitol and the White House. Tribute to a man who rose from humble beginnings to assume the highest office in the nation. Across the country, there was praise from presidents and ordinary citizens alike.
You know, Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning and purpose, a life of principle, faith, and humility. His life dedicated to others.
President-elect Donald Trump offered his condolences on social media. He wrote that while he had strong political and philosophical differences with the late president, he also gave Carter his highest respect. There were kind words, too, here in Carter's hometown of Plains, Georgia.
And I know that many of us have spoke with him over the years about what he wanted his influence to be in Plains, and it was just as another neighbor. It's a great loss for our world. He's one of the greatest men of peace, but also one of the greatest friends to the world. So,
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
That I will
a Democrat, Carter won the presidency in 1976 as the nation was trying to heal the wounds of the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam War. His term in office was plagued by economic woes and an energy crisis. His approval ratings plummeted after he failed to secure the release of dozens of American hostages from the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. But there were also major breakthroughs. One of his greatest diplomatic successes was the Camp David Accords. Under Carter's mediation, the Israeli Prime Minister and the Egyptian President signed their first peace agreement. That success echoed in condolences from the German Chancellor. In a post on X, Olaf Scholz said the U.S. had lost a great mediator for peace in the Middle East and for human rights. After his presidency, Jimmy Carter concentrated on his humanitarian work. He became an ambassador for peace and equality. Together with his wife, Rosalind, who died in late 2023, he set up the Carter Center for the Advancement of Human Rights. For his decades of dedication to that cause, Carter was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. Even after being diagnosed with cancer, he continued to work on his many humanitarian projects. Carter will be laid to rest on January 9th. President Biden has declared it a day of national mourning.
Let's bring in Amber Roessner, a professor at the University of Tennessee School of Journalism and Media, as well as the author of Jimmy Carter and the Birth of the Marathon Media Campaign. Welcome. I understand that you have personally met Jimmy Carter. Can you tell us a little bit what he was like?
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to meet former President Carter back in October of 2014. One of the things that was striking to me, he immediately put me at ease, noting that he appreciated my first book, which was about sports reporting in the early 20th century. And he also had those striking, piercing blue eyes that so many of the reporters from 1976 commented on during the general election campaign, ones that could almost see right through you.
Now, in another book you've written, you take a look at Carter's meteoric rise from being a relative political unknown to president of the United States, a real underdog without being part of the political elite. What do you think it was that made him so special?
Well, I think that he was able to capture those early primaries, Iowa, New Hampshire, and to have a kind of a bandwagon effect. You noted that he was an underdog. He was kind of an underdog victor in a year in which the movie Rocky was incredibly salient with the American public. But one of the things that made Jimmy Carter so popular in 1976 was his commitment to never tell a lie in the aftermath of Vietnam and Watergate, and to promise a country as good as the American people.
And he did have some major foreign policy achievements during his administration, didn't he?
He certainly did, though he is often now remembered for what happened in the last year of his presidency with the Iranian hostage crisis. You couldn't, certainly you need to focus on the Middle East peace accords, the fact that he normalized relations with China, and then the great work that he did after his presidency, including fighting disease and promoting free and fair elections around the globe.
Is it fair to say exactly what you've hinted at, that Carter is now better known for what he did using his clout once he had left office than while he was the president? What do you think people will remember him most for?
Yeah, I mean, certainly I think that many people will remember what he did in terms of his work with Habitat for Humanity, the Carter Center after his presidency. But I think a new generation of historians will take a closer look at his presidency, because I think the idea that he was hapless or ineffectual in office is actually an unfair assessment of his presidency. So I think we'll see a new generation of historians offer us a new look.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. That's professor and author Amber Roessner at the University of Tennessee.